By October 2024, we had been engaged for a whole year, and our schedule was well and truly blown. With the wedding around the corner and the build making life a bit stressful, we had no choice but to power on and considered it a good test of our relationship. If we can survive this, we can survive almost anything. In November, formwork for the ground floor began. Once again, progress was slow. A team led by Opa diligently built very neat boxes from plywood that form a mold holding the concrete. A lot of steel reinforcing would be needed next, and that's where our engineer, Fresnel, came in. Her strong working relationship with Elaine, built on communication and teamwork, was a huge asset. No egos, just solutions. The formwork, although slow, was meticulously and very neatly done. The steel cages that had shifted during the foundation pour needed to be drilled and new steel inserted to align with the concrete columns that would be cast in this phase. The plastic waterproof membrane was placed over the compacted soil and spaces placed under the bound steel. Pipes were laid for future services. Soft joints were strategically placed to prevent the slab from cracking, and intricate scaffolding supported the cantilever ring beam of the balcony. It was also during this time that we discovered a small visitor living in our rocks, a baby Dassie, but more on him later. December arrived, and with only a few working days left before the holidays started, we hustled to get the slab cast, and just in time. The big expensive pump came back, and it was all hands on deck. Even Elaine literally got his hands dirty. This time the pump came with an extension, a very expensive extension, which didn't even help that much in the end. This was a huge day, and we held our breath, hoping that the concrete would set well in the formwork. We would have to wait 21 days to find out. We kept the slab wet for about a week post-pour, and were very pleased with the results once the formwork finally came off in the new year, revealing all our beams, columns, and the ground floor. There was minimal cracking, and overall everything looked good. We hadn't realized what a large void would be created under the house, and contemplated what we might do with it. We hoped that things would speed up this year. Getting out of the ground had been incredibly tough, and we just hoped the worst was behind us. Next came the brick challenge. We needed a good-looking brick for our exposed feature walls. The issue? Color variance between batches, an issue that all natural products have. After much research and comparison, we chose to go with a Cora brick and dealt directly with the intermediate logistics company to ensure quality and price. This brick wasn't the cheapest around, but as it is a really high-quality brick, we knew we would also have less breakage and a really solid structure. Still, achieving consistent color batches proved to be our biggest hurdle yet. We sorted the bricks ourselves, reserving the best ones for the feature walls. Easier said than done. The ground floor was completed and looked relatively cohesive. We were just worried that by the time we get to the first floor, which would take time as a second slab needed to be cast, the new brick batches from Cora brick would have changed again in tone and color. We also did some research on how to use lime and plaster and mortar for extra strength and waterproofing, and found a lime quarry in the nearby town of Bredasdorp, where we sourced a product called concrete. This was added to the cement mix and has a sort of self-healing quality to it. A small extra expense that we didn't plan for, but was worth it in the long run. February 2025 arrived, and work on the first floor formwork began. Although the ground floor formwork was done really neatly, it had taken too long to complete, so we hired a different company to do the formwork for this slab, compromising on the look of the finish for speed. We would be plastering the concrete anyway, and so there was no need to try and achieve a perfect off-shutter result. Another factor was all the scaffolding supports and props. These are expensive to rent, and if the job had taken too long, the rental expenses can get out of hand real fast. So the company that did the formwork in the end was the same team that provided the scaffolding. And with a fixed price, we just felt more secure about it. The carpentry was finished swiftly, and the concrete pump and truck returned. This time, it was also a different concrete company that got the job, and it was almost a huge F-up. Their pump started the pour and then stopped working completely. With all that concrete already chemically cooking off, we needed to find a new pump, ASAP. I don't know how he did it, but the foreman of the formwork company had a contact and made a few calls and got a guy to bring out a different pump from Gansbaai and totally saved the day. The concrete would need to stand for 21 days before the props could be removed and we could continue to build up the first floor walls. As we stood now, it was only 10 days until the wedding.